Once a man and a woman planned to spend the day at a friend's house that was a bit of walk from where they lived. So one nice morning, they set out to make the visit. On the way, the woman suddenly remembered that they had to cross an old wooden bridge that was a bit unsafe. She started to worry about it right away. She asked her husband, "What should we do about that bridge? I will never go over it, and there is no other way to get across the river." "Oh," the man said, "I forgot about that bridge. It's in a bad place. What if it breaks and we fall into the river and drown?" Or even his wife said, "What would happen to me and the baby if you stepped on a rotten plank and broke your leg?" "I don't know what would happen to any of us," the man said. "I couldn't work, so we would all die of hunger." So they kept walking and worrying until they got to the bridge. When they got there, they saw that a new bridge has been built in place of the old one since they had been there last. They crossed it safely and found that they could have saved themselves a lot of worry. As we get older, many of us may look back on our lives and say, "I wish I had worried less." We know that worrying isn't worth the stress, bad sleep, irritability, exhaustion, and general unhappiness that comes with it. Most of the time, even if you take all responsible steps to avoid a bad outcome, you can't completely rule out the chance of something going wrong. It could be missing a flight, getting sick, making a mistake at work, or even losing someone you care about. You don't have full control over whether or not these things happen, but still you worry about these things. So, why do you think you do it? Let's pretend for a moment that you are a gazelle. You live in the grasslands of savanna in Africa. You have reddish brown furs, white rumps, horns with rings around them, and beautiful stripes. You might see a group of people taking pictures of you as they drive around on a safari. But your curved horns and their cameras aren't the only thing that set you apart from people. The main difference between you and the people taking pictures of you is that almost everything you do right away helps your life. When you are hungry, you walk over to a tree and chew on it. When a storm is coming, you hide in the bushes. When a lion is following you and your friends, you run away. As a gazelle, most of the choices you make every day, like what to eat, where to sleep, and when to run away from a predator, directly affect your life. You always think about the present or the next few days. Because your activity have apparent and quick results, you live in what scientists call an immediate return environment. Let's change the story so that you are one of the people going on a safari vacation. In contrast to the gazelles, people live in what experts call a delayed return environment. Most of the decisions you make today won't be good for you right away. If you do well at work today, you will get paid in a few weeks. If you save now, you will have enough money for retirement. Modern culture has a lot of things that are made to put off rewards until later. This is true for our problems too. People are more worried about long-term problems than gazelles are. A gazelle's main concern are to stay away from predators and find shelter from a storm. Unfortunately, living in a delayed return environment often causes individuals to experience persistent stress and worry. But why? Because your brain wasn't made to solve problems in a delayed return environment. But what does it actually mean? To understand it a bit better, let's explore a bit on the evolution of human brain. The human brain did not evolve to be able to live in an environment with delayed returns. The oldest remains of modern humans, which are called Homo sapiens, are about 200,000 years old. These were the first people who had brains that were a lot like ours. In particular, the neocortex, which is the nearest part of the brain, as in charge of higher functions like language, was about the same size 200,000 years ago as it is now. You are still using the same tool as your prehistorical ancestors did. Compared to how long the brain has been around, modern society is a very new thing. Our society has mostly become a delayed return environment only recently, in the past 500 years or so. Compared to the past, the rate of change has sped up by a factor of 10. In the last 100 years, the car, the aeroplane, the TV, the PC, and the internet have all become popular. Almost everything you use every day has been made in a very short amount of time. But from the point of view of evolution, 100 years is not very long at all. The modern human brain spent hundreds of thousands of years evolving for one type of environment with immediate return. And then, in a blink of eye, the whole environment changed to delayed returns. Your brain was made to want things to happen quickly. The fact that our old brains don't work in our new environment has a big effect on how much stress and anxiety we feel today. When people lived in an immediate return environment thousands of years ago, stress and anxiety were helpful because they pushed us to act on problems right away. For example, a lion walks across the plain. You get scared, you run away, your stress goes away. A storm rumbles in the distance, you worry about finding shelter. You find a place to stay, your worry goes away. This is how your brain has changed over time to deal with stress, worry, and anxiety. In an immediate return environment, anxiety was a feeling that helped keep people safe. It was made to solve problems that come up quickly. There was no such thing as chronic stress because, in an immediate return environment, there aren't really any long term problems. Wild animals rarely have stress that lasts for a long time. Mark Leary, a professor at Duke University, said, "A loud noise can scare a deer and make it run through the forest. But as soon as the threat is gone, the deer calms down and starts grazing." When you live in an immediate return environment, the only stress you have to deal with is short-term stress. Once the danger is gone, the worry goes away. Today, we face different problems. For example, will I have enough money next month to pay the bills? Will I get a promotion at work? Will I be able to fix the relationship I have hurt? In a delayed return environment, problems are rarely solved in the current instant. The constant uncertainty is one of the most stressful aspects of the delayed return environment. Even if you work hard in school, that doesn't mean you will get a job. There is no way to know for sure that whatever you invested today will grow in the future. Just because you go on a date does not mean you will get your soulmate. You are surrounded by uncertainty if you live in a delayed return environment. So, what are your options? Well, your first step is to measure something. You can't be sure how much money you will have when you retire, but you can reduce some of the uncertainty by keeping track of how much you save each month. You can't be sure you will get a job after you graduate, but you can keep track of how often you apply for internships. You can't tell when love will find you, but you can pay attention to how often you meet new people. When you measure, you take a number you don't know and find out what it is. When you measure something, you know right away that you know more about it. Measurement won't magically solve your problems, but it will make things clearer, pull you out of black box of worry and uncertainty, and help you get a handle on what's really going on. Also, one of the most important differences between an immediate return environment and a delayed return environment is how quickly you can get feedback. Animals are continuously receiving input on things that stress them out, so they can tell if they need to be stressed or not. There is no feedback without measurement. The second thing you can do is shift your worry from the long-term problem to a daily routine that will solve your problem. What does it mean? Let me explain a bit. For example, instead of worrying about how to live longer, you should just go for a walk every day. Don't worry about whether or not your child will get a college scholarship. Instead, pay attention to how much time they spend studying now. Focus on making a healthy dinner tonight, instead of worrying about how much weight you need to lose. The key to making this strategy work is to make sure that your daily routine gives you immediate returns and solve problems for the future. When your mind stays in the present, it's hard to be worried or upset. But staying in the moment is easier said than done. There are many things and activities in your life that will keep you from paying attention to what's going on right now. Mindfulness is one of the best ways to learn to be in the moment. It helps you to let go of your worries and get rid of the tension in your body. You can set up a mindfulness meditation routine in which you meditate for a certain amount of time each day. Our brains did not evolve in a delayed return environment, but that's where we are now. When we are in the habit of worrying, it takes work to worry less. Even when you are trying to put your troubles aside, your mind will nearly always return to them. You can't remove all anxieties, but you can put your attention in the right places. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. Marcus Aurelius Meditations. Thank you for listening to A Shift in Perspective, and I will see you in the next video.